I encountered a real demon in my own home. True horror story. Have you ever had a feeling that something wasn't right in your own home? That maybe, just maybe, there's something watching you from the shadows? What if one night, you discovered that what was lurking in the dark wasn't a ghost, but something far worse, the demon? I thought I was safe in my own home, until I encountered something that changed my life forever. Something that still haunts me to this day. Have you had a creepy experience that left you questioning reality? Drop a comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts or share your own creepy stories. Now, let me take you into my terrifying experience with a real demon. Have you ever had a feeling that something wasn't right in your own home? That maybe, just maybe, there's something watching you from the shadows? What if one night, you discovered that what was lurking in the dark wasn't a ghost, but something far worse, the demon? I thought I was safe in my own home, until I encountered something that changed my life forever. Something that still haunts me to this day. Have you had a creepy experience that left you questioning reality? Drop a comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts or share your own creepy stories. Now, let me take you into my terrifying experience with a real demon. It started innocently enough. My name is Mark, and I've always been the type to believe in science and logic. Supernatural stuff? I had always written it off as fantasy or overactive imaginations. But that was before I encountered something that defied every explanation I had ever known. It all began when I moved into a new house. I had recently ended a long-term relationship, and I wanted a fresh start, a new place to call my own. The house I found was an old, two-story colonial that seemed to have the charm of 100 years of history. It had an aura about it that felt both inviting and mysterious. It was exactly what I wanted, a peaceful, quiet place away from the noise of the city, where I could settle in and begin anew. The first few days were uneventful. I spent my time unpacking, setting up furniture, and getting used to the sounds of the house. It creaked when the wind blew. The pipes would groan at odd times, and sometimes I'd hear footsteps in the halls when no one was around. But again, I chalked it up to an old house settling. But then, things started to change. It was a rainy Wednesday evening when I first noticed something wasn't quite right. I had just finished dinner and was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone. The wind howled outside, the rain beating against the windows. It was the kind of night where everything felt a little too quiet, a little too still. And that's when I heard it, a soft tapping, almost like a faint knock. It was coming from the hallway just outside the living room. At first, I thought it was the wind, or maybe even the house's old windows rattling. But when the tapping grew louder, more rhythmic, I stood up and cautiously walked toward the source of the noise. The hallway was dark. Only a faint light from the living room cast shadows along the walls. I paused for a moment, listening closely. There was again the tapping, but this time it seemed to be coming from the floor above me. I swallowed hard, my pulse quickening. I was alone in the house. I had double-checked the locks, made sure all the windows were secure. There was no one else here. The only thing that should have been upstairs was, well, no one. I grabbed a flashlight from the drawer and made my way up the staircase, my footsteps slow and deliberate. The creaking of the old wood beneath my feet was unnervingly loud in the silence of the house. As I reached the top, I felt a cold draft sweep across my skin. The air had grown noticeably colder, a chill that sank deep into my bones. The hallway was dark. The only light came from a dim bulb at the end of the hall. As I stepped forward, I noticed something strange. There was an old door at the far end, one I hadn't noticed before. It was half open, revealing nothing but darkness inside. The tapping sound grew louder. I hesitated for a moment. Every instinct in me screamed to turn around and leave, but curiosity won out. I stepped toward the door, the air growing colder with each step I took. When I reached the door, the tapping stopped. I took a deep breath and pushed it open. The room inside was empty. There was nothing out of the ordinary. Just old furniture covered in dust, a few boxes, and a faint smell of something musty. But then I saw it. In the corner of the room, there was a small wooden chair placed directly in the center of the room, facing the door. The chair was covered in dust, and the seat was cracked with age. But there was something off about it. It wasn't just an old chair, it felt wrong. Suddenly, the door behind me slammed shut. I spun around, my heart racing in my chest. The room was pitch black, and I couldn't hear anything but the pounding of my own heartbeat in my ears. I reached out for the doorknob, but it wouldn't turn. The door was stuck. I yanked harder, panic flooding my veins. Something was wrong. Something was in the room with me. I turned back toward the chair, and that's when I saw it. The chair was moving, not just rocking, not swaying in the wind, but shifting slowly, deliberately across the floor, inch by inch, as if something was sitting in it. I could hardly breathe. My eyes locked on the chair. The darkness in the room seemed to deepen, and then, from the shadows, I saw it. A figure, a tall, gaunt shadow with elongated limbs. Its features barely visible. Its face was a blur, but I could feel its eyes on me, burning into my soul. My stomach twisted in terror. I couldn't move, couldn't scream, couldn't think. My mind was paralyzed by the sight of it. The thing in the chair started to stand, its movements jerky, unnatural. And then it spoke. Its voice was a low, guttural growl, like something scraping against the inside of my skull. "You shouldn't have come here." The words vibrated in the air, sending shockwaves through my body. I stumbled backward, my mind screaming at me to run, to get out, but my feet wouldn't move. The figure took a step forward, its foot scraping against the floor with a sound that made my blood run cold. I felt the temperature drop even further, and the oppressive weight of fear settled on my chest, suffocating me. "You belong to me now," it hissed, its mouth opening wider than should have been possible, revealing teeth that were sharp and yellow, like broken glass. I finally managed to break free of the paralysis. I lunged for the door again, this time twisting the handle with all my strength. The door flew open, and I bolted out of the room, gasping for air. I didn't stop running until I was back downstairs, my heart pounding, my legs weak beneath me. I locked every door, shut every window, and sat huddled in the living room, praying that whatever it was wouldn't follow me. But it did. Over the following days, the occurrences in the house grew more intense. Strange whispers filled the air at night, and objects would move on their own. The once peaceful house now felt like a prison. It was as though the very walls were closing in on me. And the figure in the chair? I saw it again. But this time, it wasn't just a shadow. It was standing in the corner of my bedroom, watching me. Its eyes were glowing red, its mouth twisted into a malicious grin. I tried everything, researching the house's history, performing rituals, even calling a priest. But nothing worked. The demon wasn't leaving. It was becoming stronger. I didn't know how much longer I could take it. Every night, the thing would torment me, its whispers growing louder, its presence more tangible. I felt like I was losing my mind, slipping further into terror. But then one night, when I thought I couldn't bear it any longer, something changed. The demon spoke again, but this time, its words weren't threatening. They were sad. "You were never meant to find me." And with those words, the entity vanished. The coldness lifted, the whispers stopped, and the house fell silent once more. I left that house as soon as I could, but the experience stayed with me. Sometimes, when I'm alone at night, I still feel its presence. The shadow in the corner, the voice that whispers in the dark. I don't know what it was that I encountered in that house, but I'll never forget it, and I'll never again take for granted the safety of my own home. It was real, and it was something far worse than I could have ever imagined. So, if you ever move into a new place, make sure to look closely, because sometimes the darkest things don't stay hidden in the shadows. Sometimes they come for you.